One Wellesley Live. What's up, everybody? That's Callie. I'm Jersey. Hey, we're two friends talking. We're not giving any medical advice. Always check out the healthcare professionals. Hey, listen, Magnus. Well, okay. We did a show on 3 things we learned from our mom.
Yep.
And your doggy. Your doggy's having a good time back there.
Yeah, no, it's Rocco. Rocco is probably barking at something out on the street. Let me. Hey, wait, give me one sec. Rocco, enough.
Rocco, enough.
Go harass your mom instead.
Before we call Drago and get you, Drago will beat you up. All right, so yes, we did 3 things we learned from our mothers. But hey, how about 3 things we learned from our father? Oh, Rocco, too cute, too cute.
Do you want to be in the show instead of me? Answer some questions about your dad.
The dog on. We're gonna get viewers. People love animals.
Yeah.
So
because dogs are the best.
Yeah. Every time I have Rocky on, the viewership goes up. So, but yeah. So 3 things that we learned from our fathers. We did one on our mothers a couple of weeks ago. Now let's do 3 things we learned from our dad. So I'll start it right off. And it's funny because, like I said, but the mother segment we did, again, we learn from people or our parents. It doesn't have to be explicit where they tell us something. It's how they live. That's really most important. So like any good leader or coach. Okay. So for my father, and my father, and I guess you can tell me a little bit about your dad too. My father is not the soft, kissy, fluffy. Oh my God, my son, I love you. That's my mother. My father is more stoic, very cold, I would say. He loves us. He provided for us. But, my father was born an orphan. He fought in the Vietnam War. Nobody wanted him. So like he had a very cold life. And so I don't blame him. But my father is a cross between Archie Bunker and Al Bundy, maybe. But so anyways, but good man, good person. Anyway, so the thing that one thing he taught me was show up. Just show up. 80% of life success is just showing up. So again, he wasn't the big cheerleader. He wasn't like kissing and hugging us, but he was always there. So he was always at the dinner table. He was always at the parent-teacher conference. He would show up to the important stuff. He didn't come to every football game or baseball game or track thing, but I mean, like, he was always around. He never went out with the boys. He was just always home, always there. If there was a problem, my father was going to show up. So show up. My father showed up. That was one of the things he taught me is, just show up. So what about your dad? How was your dad as a person? I know your father's passed away, but I mean, like,
yeah, my dad passed away 2007 from cancer. He's battled that for like over 2 years. So, and yeah, the thing is, I would say that he lived his life to extreme, very fast paced, workaholic, working in the restaurant, nightclub industry, his like whole adult life. So it's fast paced and it's a tough life, so that's a couple of things that I learned from him. For like, we can actually say that do not like follow his mistakes. So I am not into staying up late. I'm not out into partying anymore. I've done that. It's checked off my list.
Right.
So I think that it's kind of true that either you become your parents or the polar opposite. My dad was great. He was very friendly, things like that. Of course, he had his faults, but we all do. And I mean, I love him. He's my dad, and he like taught me a lot about life. But I would say, like, one thing that I would say, it's like, coming down to that, like what you saw, like, don't live like my dad. So one thing that I would say is be aware who your real friends are.
Right. You learn
because I learned from my dad that he had a lot of friends when he was doing good in life, like when the company was doing good, restaurant doing good, things like that. Everybody wanted to share the success in some way or form. Then when times got a little bit harder, they were way fewer and far apart. So that's one thing that I think that I learned from observing him, is like, know who your real friends are.
Yeah. Like, well, my father was the absolute opposite. My father, even to this day, but definitely growing up, my father had no friends, nobody, no nothing. I mean, kind of sad, because I think everyone should have a friend or two. Yeah. And so my father, very kind of introverted, insular. My father was someone who didn't really, I don't know, kind of weird. Like he could be chummy and talkative, my father. He could have a dry sense of humor, but for the most part, he just stayed to himself, which is not good. Now, my father, in pushing 80 years old, is Mr. Popular. He has all these friends. He goes fishing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my God, Dad, what the hell happened? So I'm glad he has that. But yeah, definitely kind of opposite to your dad
Yeah,
growing up. Like my father
yeah.
just always home. I was like, why don't this guy get some friends, man? What the hell, dude? Okay, so second thing for me would be my father always went to church. He still does. So every Sunday, like clockwork, whether you're sick or not, you go into church. And he didn't really push it on us, but that taught me, okay, like have some faith in something, and that's
Hmm.
important. So what was the second thing for your dad?
Oh, that is completely different from church. That is actually learn how. He taught me how to cook. So
Okay.
and
Yeah, my father
and
couldn't cook, bro.
yeah,
My father couldn't fucking cook cereal. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, no, he's my dad was really good at cooking, because he spent a lot of time in the kitchen of a restaurant and in and out and learned a lot about food, which was great because he basically started having me cooking, I would say around when I was around 10 years old, like all the boring stuff like peeled potatoes, stuff like that. And like it had to be perfect his way, things like that. But I'm so happy for that because it's such an important skill to have. i
Oh,
feel
cooking
I
is, yeah.
feel very relaxed and good when I'm in a kitchen, cooking
All
food,
right,
things
all right.
like that,
When I come to
prepping and,
Cali to
and
go visit
eating.
you,
So
man. When I come visit you, you better fucking cook, dude.
yeah, no problem at all. I mean, it's the thing is I'm fairly good at, if I want to cook something fancy, I can cook something fancy, but I'm also like doing the basics really, really fast. So
All right.
like,
Me too.
when you come home, you're like, I need something like now, and I can make something fairly,
All right. So
as long as you have some ingredients at home, I'm
so
I'm
your
fairly
your
good at
wife
cooking.
your wife fell in love with you because you spoke to her stomach.
Well, I don't know about that. She's not the I would say the biggest like gourmet or eats a lot. She's picky when it comes to food.
Oh,
I'm
all
not
right.
saying that in a bad way. It's just
No,
that
no, no.
she's picky.
Yeah.
She knows
Discerning.
what she likes and
Discerning.
she wants it certain ways. She's like
Right.
she's used to her mom's cooking and things like that. So it's
All
pretty
right.
interesting.
All right. All right. All right. And my last thing would be stay home. My father, I alluded to before, this guy never went out for anything. He worked, he came home, that was it. And in a way, that's a good thing. You want stability. You want your husband or wife or partner, to be home. But growing up, I was like, this is not healthy. Like my father just has no life, literally no life. Like no friend, no
Yeah,
real. I mean, he liked to go fishing, but like he was, and I actually hurt his health because he never got up and walked. He never like he was obese most of his life, and I think as we've done shows on this, there's a link between obesity and cancer. And my father had kidney cancer, and one of the things that obesity does is gives you kidney cancer actually, and so he either increased his chances of kidney cancer or straight up gave himself kidney cancer
yeah,
because of morbidly obese, uh, the way he is or was. It's sad because he just never got up, never had a hobby, nothing, just
yeah,
went to work and came home, which is good in the sense that it showed me like he was always there for us. There was never we never have to worry about where's dad. You know, I had my cousins, their father was always drinking, always out, always around town, never home. Not a
yeah.
good dad. My father is a good dad, was a good dad, and part of the reason why he was always there to his
Mm.
death almost. Okay, so what was a third thing about your dad that you
And
learned?
two things: believe in yourself and stand up for yourself. So they go kind of hand in hand.
Right.
So I think that's an important thing to kind of know. Like you need to have, like you were talking about faith, having
Yeah.
faith in yourself and
Yeah.
trusting that you're like you know some things and
Yeah.
you good person, whatever you want to call it, but at least like you know that you have some skills and
Yeah.
that you can be
Funny.
successful.
Funny you mention that because my father is a very smart person and has a lot of capabilities. But guess what? My father never believed in himself. He
Yeah.
always he always put him. My father's a. I love my dad, but my father's a very insecure person,
Hmm.
and he never gave himself a chance. He never. My father never wanted to be embarrassed, so he never tried.
Yeah.
But here, but my father's I mean, I'm not, my father's a smart guy. He's a capable guy. It's just so sad because, yep, he never believed in himself.
Yeah.
And it really hurt because he was never able to accomplish a lot professionally, where my father could have been an engineer. He could have had a PhD in physics or whatever. He just, I guess he didn't believe in himself. So
Yeah.
he wasn't able to make as much money as maybe he could have. And that made our family struggle. And again, my father's not a bad person. I also say, like, I wonder if my father really believed in himself. If he had the chutzpah, we would have had a little bit easier life. But anyways, so because your father said, believe in yourself and fight for yourself.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. That's why I think it's like looking at you, like being a DJ, socializing, like center of the party, moving around. I think it's pretty interesting to see like how from generation to a generation you
Yeah.
can drastically change, or you're following
Right.
your parents' footstep
Right. You're gonna
and
do one or two things,
continue
right?
doing it.
Yeah, my father taught me in that respect. He taught me inversely, or reverse. And I
Yeah.
said, so I don't want to be like my dad in that
Yeah.
respect. There's
Yeah.
certain things I do want to be like my dad in, but not that respect. And
Yeah.
it always pissed me off because I'm like, here's my father with potential. I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna go now. I'm the opposite. Like, I'm so cocky and so, like, my friends always say, this is true. I'll shoot first. I'll ask questions last. Like, so I'm like, I'll do it. Yeah, whatever. And so to the
But
point
it's,
where
it's
it's like,
again, but that's your personality, and using your personality like to an advantage. I don't see that. I mean, I think you're right about that, and I think that, like, for instance, when people are talking, "Oh, I want to make some change" and things like that, I think it's and in business they always say this: just do something
right.
and then course correct, because it's better to do something than just sitting and like basically seeing how the boat.
The old saying, "Oh, you're freezing up." Oh no, we're getting cursed again. The old saying, "Fake it till you make it." But
Yeah.
now you're frozen. Oh, now you're back on. Now you're
Yeah.
frozen. Oh, geez, here
Okay,
we go.
well, that means they
God.
want us to hang up.
Yeah. Well, okay. I want to say that could be the show right there. Boom, done. We're good. But let's see if we can go on a little bit, because I do want to say one or two things. But you're frozen, but I'm not. So there you go. You're back. No, like, anyways, yeah. So I saw my dad struggle, and I'm like, you know what? I don't mind struggling, but I'm not gonna hold back. Like, my father did so many things. My father, he just never, dude. My father, like, even home repairs. Magnus, you're talking about doing home repairs in your house, this and that. Like, my father, our house growing up was dilapidated because my father just didn't keep up with the house. And it's
Yeah.
sad because he had the intellect to do it, but he never believed in himself. So he would let things just fall apart. I'm like, why, Dad? Like, you can do this. And so now I say to myself, in that respect, I don't want to be like my dad, so
Yeah.
I'll try anything. I'll repair almost anything. And if I can't, then I'll call a professional. But anyways, but he taught me that, which I guess is a fourth thing in reverse. But yeah, no, man, it sounds like you had a great dad. And like I said, my dad's great too. And,
Yeah.
in their own ways. And look, none of us.
Again, we don't choose our parents. It's just the same
Right.
thing. Like, and it's the same thing. We like, should we say that we choose our kids or whatever? I mean, yeah, you choose to have kids or not, or adopt or whatever. But I mean, it comes down to, like, you do not have to be exact like your parents. That's what I'm
Right.
trying to say. It's like you need to find your own way, and find what you're good at, and
Right.
make sure it's like history does not have to repeat itself. And I'm
Right.
especially talking about that people that are maybe having parents that are not such as fortunate in life, like they might be struggling with mental health, or that they're struggling with physical health, or with drugs, or whatever it is. Like, you do not have to follow
Right.
them in those paths. You can
Right.
break a habit. You can break, like, stop having the family being like obese or whatnot, and I think it's so important that we actually, like, focus on the things that we can control and change,
Right.
and not like on the things that we have zero control about.
Right. Yeah, 100%. It's hard sometimes, right? We see people who think their parents are Jesus Christ, and
Mhm.
it's like, or whatever, the Virgin Mary. And it's like, listen, just because your mommy and daddy did something doesn't mean you don't. It doesn't mean you have to. You can change. Like I said, you can change things. You don't have to drink. You don't have to eat shit food. You don't have to whatever. But like I said, overall, my father is a good influence. I have to say. So in the pantheon of parents, you and I both know there's some bad parents out there. My mother, my father's a good human being. So I'm lucky that I have him. You know, again, I can bitch and complain about stuff, but overall, you know, he's a solid dude. And, you know, anyways, so, but
I'm the same way. I consider myself, when I look back, I mean, I had had great parents and also great parents, like great parents or great parents. Like actually, my grandmother, grandfather, both dad and mom side. So like it's fortunate. I'm fortunate. Like, I don't want to use the hashtag blessed, but I mean, I'm definitely happy that like.
By the way, did you know your grandparents on both sides?
Oh yeah, on both sides. Unfortunately, my dad's dad passed away early. Had heart issues. Then my mom's mom and dad, they basically helped raising me. I spent a lot of time with them, especially summer times and stuff like that. When I was off school and mom still had to work, so I was hanging out with them like 24/7. You know, out in their our like summer house and stuff like that. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to see and hang out and learn a lot from an older generation as well.
Yeah, that might be another show we can do.
Definitely.
My father doesn't have parents, but my mother's side. I say grandparents for me, it's my mother's side. But anyways, all right, man. So that's good, bro. So excellent show, Magnus. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, guys. Again, it's like we want to hear from you. What did you learn from your dad? Let us know. It's always interesting to hear what kind of parents we have and what the parents teach their kids.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Check back in. Great content coming up. Magnus, thank you very much. Everybody, I'm signing off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye. All right, Magnus.